If you're thinking about purchasing a property in Canberra, it can be pretty confusing if you haven't been through the process before. There's lots of steps like inspections, auctions, finance approvals, cooling off periods, and it's hard to know what order those steps come in. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly how you purchase a property in the ACT, from the moment you decide to purchase a property all the way up to getting the keys to your dream home. So step one is getting pre-approval for your finances. Before you start looking at homes, it's a good idea to speak to a mortgage broker or your bank to understand what your borrowing capacity is, and also find a mortgage that's most appropriate for your needs. Having pre-approval for your finances puts you in a stronger position for when you do eventually find the home you want to put an offer on. It tells real estate agents that you're serious about buying because you've got your finance ready to go, and you can move quicker on purchasing a property as well. So the bank or mortgage broker will often give you your maximum borrowing capacity, but it's good to be aware that there's going to be additional costs when purchasing a property. It's not just the purchase price of the house. Things like stamp duty, legal fees, the building inspection report, and also moving costs. This is also a good early point to start finding a solicitor or conveyancer, because you're going to need them throughout the buying process to review contracts, review your building and pest report, and it's just good to be able to have them to seek advice from throughout the process. Step two is defining your brief and choosing your target suburbs. So before you start searching, it's a good idea to decide what property you really want. Do you want a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-bathroom? Do you need a garage? What size block of land do you need? What area of Canberra are you interested in? Are school zones important to you? So the clearer you can be with your brief, the better. It's a good idea to narrow your search down to a few select suburbs that you're keen on, rather than searching all over Canberra, because that can be pretty overwhelming, and it's hard to track properties and the market and values of properties for the whole of Canberra. It's a good idea to become an expert in the suburbs that you really want to buy in, because that will put you in a better position when it comes time to putting in an offer for your dream home. So step three is researching and inspecting properties. So this is the fun part, right? This is the time you get to start looking at properties online, going out and inspecting properties, really understanding what you like. It's good to also track the properties that you inspect. Take notes on the property, take photos, record them, because after you've seen, 15, 20 properties, it's hard to remember exactly the properties you've seen. It's good to track the sale price of properties as well, and see what the market is doing, so that when you do eventually find the property that you want to put an offer in, you have a good idea of what it would sell for, and you can put in a strong offer. But at this stage, it's really just about training your eye and being able to recognize the value of properties. So step four is reviewing the contract of sale and the building and pest report before you make an offer. So in the ACT, it's a bit different to other states in Australia. The agent will provide you with the contract of sale and the building and pest report before you put in an offer. So it's good to review the contract of sale and building and pest report before you put in an offer, so you know exactly what you're putting in an offer on. You don't want to put in an offer and then later down the line realize that the building's got a whole bunch of structural issues that you weren't aware of. So you can work with your solicitor and conveyancer on reviewing these documents, and if there are any concerns, make sure you take that into account if you do decide to progress. Step 5 is putting in an offer for the property you want to buy. So this can be different depending on how the property is sold, whether it's by auction, which is very popular in the ACT, or private treaty. If it's an auction, there will be a scheduled day for the auction where you attend on the day and you bid in front of all the other bidders, and there'll be an auctioneer taking notes of your offer. If your offer is accepted, you will exchange contracts on that day and pay the deposit, and it's unconditional at that stage. There's no cooling off period. If the property is being sold through a private treaty, you put in an offer, and it's different depending on the agent you're working with. It can be a written offer, email, or an application, or you can make an offer over the phone as well. And that's where you say the price that you want to purchase the property for, and any terms and conditions, such as settlement period, deposit, if it's subject to finance being approved. There's lots of different conditions that you can put in your offer. So it's also important to note that whilst in the ACT, private treaty sales do have a cooling off period after you sign the contract, it's not standard practice to have that cooling off period. So there's this thing called a Section 17 certificate, which waives the cooling off period, so that when you sign the contract of sale, it is unconditional at that stage, and that is standard in the ACT. So just something to be aware of. Step 6 is your offer is accepted and it's time for a pre-exchange inspection. So with a private treaty sale, before you exchange contracts, you'll be given a chance to inspect the property again. So this is a good opportunity to go through the property, make sure everything's in order and nothing's really changed since you initially inspected the property. If you do have any concerns during the inspection, make sure you raise these with your solicitor so that they can advise you on next steps before you actually exchange contracts. Step 7 of the buying process is exchanging contracts and paying the deposit. So once your pre-exchange inspection is completed and you're happy to progress, it's now time to sign the contract of sale and exchange the contract, and also pay the deposit, oftentimes 10% or 5%. Step 8 is finalizing your finance. So once you've exchanged contracts, you will need to contact your lender, let them know that you're successful, and they will start completing their valuation on the property and organising unconditional approval of your finances. Your solicitor will also keep things ticking along, making sure things are progressing all the way up through till settlement. Step 9 is completing your pre-settlement inspection. So a couple of days before your settlement date, the agent will usually reach out to you to organise a final inspection before settlement. So just like the pre-exchange inspection, this is your final chance just to go through the property, make sure everything's in order, make sure there's no damage to the property or anything's massively changed since you exchanged contracts. Again, if you do have any concerns during the inspection, make sure you raise these with your solicitor to advise on next steps before you actually settle on the property. Step 10 is the final stage of the process. That is settlement and getting the keys to your property. So on settlement day, your solicitor and lender will arrange for the remaining funds to be transferred over, the title of the property to be transferred into your name, and you officially own the property. So you can collect the keys and start moving in. So those are the steps to purchasing a home in the ACT. Now, each property purchase can be slightly different depending on how you're purchasing it, who you're purchasing it through, but those are the general steps for all property purchases in Canberra. So thank you for tuning in and watching this video. Hopefully you've found some value in it. If you liked the video, make sure you click the like button. Feel free to add a comment in if you have any feedback, or if you have any ideas for future videos or any content that you want me to make, you can put in a comment. And if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I make sure you hit the subscribe button. Okay, thanks a lot.